Hello, welcome to the Cloudblue Podcast post-match reaction. Neil Dunworth joins me this evening, bopping along to our intro track. Neil, how are you, pal?
I suppose I'm fine, but I'm frustrated, put it that way. It's a frustrating game today, a frustrating 90 minutes that we put in, or 90, there was 8 minutes in the first half, I think, and 7 minutes in the second half, or might have had that vice versa. But a frustrating time at Goodison Park today. We didn't play to 100%, but we didn't play as poorly as I've seen other people say on Twitter. I thought we played absolutely in structure with the way that Unai wants us to play, but I also think Everton did as well, and it was a mismatch of styles from that point of view when it came up with Unai Emery's first nil-all in 97 games in charge in the Premier League. So also there isn't a big elephant in the room, a big elephant in a black shirt in the room as well that I'm sure we'll get on to talking about, but that's kind of my view. You can end the podcast now because I've kind of said it all.
I don't think this is going to be one that there'll be a lot of people that see the game and see the result and see this video uploaded, Everton nil, Villa nil, and think, oh, lads, I can't be arsed. And fair enough, if this is one you skip, I don't blame you at all. We go into this little break now for Villa on the back of what does feel like a frustrating match more so than anything. I don't actually think the result's terrible. I think if you cliche alert, if you draw on the road and you win at home, which Villa do win at home, that's going to get you up into the top 6, top 4 of the Premier League anyway. I know you're not going to win every home game, you're not going to draw every away game, but it's a good kind of foundation. We've got a clean sheet. If not for our own lack of clinicalness, if that's a word, up front, we win today because we have chances, we make chances today, and we have those possibilities to put the game to bed, and we don't. At the other end, Martinez keeps us in it with a great double save. The first one, very much reminiscent of his World Cup save in the final last year, or the year before even now. Just one of them. I don't think it's, Armageddon stuff, end of the world stuff to only get a point at home, away at Everton, sorry. They flashed up the stat, didn't they, on Sky of Unai Emery's not had a 0-0 in 96 matches at Arsenal and at Villa in the Premier League. I'd have took the 0-0 rather than losing 1-0. Like that 0-0 stuff doesn't really matter at that stage of the game, does it? I don't mind it. I did think it was going to be classic Villa to throw something away at the end there. I just don't think it's a massive problem that Villa haven't won there. And I don't know if I'm wrong with that viewpoint. I feel like the kind of the game state, or whatever newfound phrase you want to throw at it, was disrupted so often by the referee and by time wasting and bitty fouls that it was difficult for Villa to get going and find any kind of rhythm. I think that's more so the issue than Villa were rubbish. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I've just done my own podcast there, and usually my final whistle on the final whistle post-match podcast that I do are usually a mismatch of what I'm feeling in the moment, and by the end I get to podcast, I could feel completely different about something than I did at the start, and it's why they're difficult to do, but it's why I like doing them, because then I can just compartmentalize it and walk away, and it's like, okay, I can think about different parts of the game or whatever afterwards. But what you mentioned there was the stagnation of the game, the stop-start nature in the second half. Referee lost control. I'm sure we'll speak about that. It's not his first, second, third, fourth, 15th time doing that in the Premier League in his career, but he did it today. I think he lost a small bit of control. But from the point of view of it not being the worst thing with Villa drawing today, the only thing that I have here is, put it this way: if Spurs and United is a 1-1 draw today, or if Spurs lose to United today, I'll feel a bit better about today's result, because the only piece here is Spurs being in 5th place. It's the looking over the shoulder that not winning a game like today makes us do. And definitely. We were in a position, and we like it's great saying about a week ago, hey, we're joint first in the league, or second, as you like to call it, then in the league. And that's fantastic to say, but now a week removed or 2 weeks removed from that, we are looking over our shoulder again. So you might say that this is kind of the rocket that Villa, I think that's unfair to say the rocket that Villa needed, because like we're in an overinflated position anyway, but it's how we kind of eliminate the between now and the end of the season, the looking over our shoulder, as opposed to being in control of where we are and where we should be within the table. Because I've said this in my previous part, we've always been underdogs. Like, I cannot remember the last time Villa weren't underdogs. Like, even in the Championship, to get to the playoff, we were underdogs. It was like, it's unlikely they'll do it, but they can do it. And all of a sudden we did it. Under Emery last season, we were underdogs to get into Europe. All of a sudden we did get into Europe. And this time we're leading from the front, and we're looking over our shoulder. So it's a new challenge for the team, and we're coping with it well now at the moment. We're not losing games, and hopefully that continues, and we can alleviate the looking over our shoulder, I said, as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, when we talk about title charges and top four pushes and whatever else, we've always said it was the gap behind us that we were almost, that was what we were proud of, almost, to be 9 points ahead of Newcastle or 5 ahead of Spurs or whatever it is at certain stages start the season. To keep that kind of buffer is what's important to Villa. So yes, if Spurs don't win this afternoon, which I don't think they are at the moment, Man United were winning 1-0 last I saw before we came on. Yeah, we gained a point on Spurs technically, haven't we? It's 1-1 now. Okay, so as we were. So that's really the main thing. Yeah, a few weeks ago it was joint top. We're joint third now. We're joint second. Whatever you want to say. It is that kind of looking over our shoulder where if you'd have won today, you don't. Obviously, you still want Spurs to drop points, but it's you've won. That's a great position to be in. To only draw 0-0. Like I say, I don't think it's the end of the world, but it does have that kind of niggling doubt of, okay, what do Spurs do now? Are we going to be under pressure next week or the week after when we come back? For games specifically, I like to look at them in little kind of clusters. If we beat Newcastle next time out, and if we say it's 4 points from 2, a home game and an away game, I think you got say that's a decent turnaround. If you'd have won today and drawn to Newcastle, yes, it's reverse home and away, but still that's a decent return as well. So I'm not going to get too down with only drawing today, as much as I'm not going to get too carried away when we win a game. Don't get too high with the highs and low with the lows, as Dean Smith used to say. That is the mantra that I think should all get us by throughout this exciting period for Villa. Like, of course, we want to win every game because there's something tangible at the end of this Champions League qualification or going all the way in a trophy. You want to be winning games, but every so often you're not going to. And I think we can be honest about it, Neil, as likewise people in the comments will as well. We haven't played well since Man City. How many games ago was that?
Yeah, but we haven't played. We haven't played awful either. We've played.
No.
And that's what I mean when the team is not a finished article, that we have overplayed in games, and we're a bit stagnant at the moment. And there's 16, 17 days left in January, and while Unai Emery was pretty forthright and transparent about, hey, it's one in, it's one out. I do think we need a small bit of a freshening up top. It would be fantastic if somehow Buendia out of nowhere was just seen on the pitch, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, somebody like Buendia is back. Or I posited the conversation about maybe, like, it wouldn't have done us any harm to have Philippe Coutinho on the bench to bring him off the bench today. But at the same time, he could have come off the bench and been out for 10 weeks injured after pulling a hammy, or selling him might unlock the key from financial fair play or from whatever it is that's selling him gets the wages off in future years and so on. So who knows? There's lots of shoes to drop in this one, in this transfer window, and I think they will try, but obviously they've set the terms of engagement that Unai Emery has at the moment, and it's it'll be interesting to see if we can freshen up that department, because I feel it needs it, because Diaby was okay today, but he's not the Diaby that was there at the start of the season. Bailey wasn't the Bailey that we'd seen a couple of weeks ago. He wasn't poor either. Zaniolo comes on for 4 or 5 minutes at the end, doesn't really do much, and John Duran is the chaos agent. Where, like, the quality that comes off the bench there, from the point of view of, okay, we can get this fella off the bench, and between now and the end of the season, he's going to score 3 or 4 important goals. Where is that person? And he could be at the club, he could be here, it could be Diaby, could be Zaniolo, could be Tielemans, as I say, but that's the figuring out that everybody from Unai Emery to Monchi to Austin McPhee need to figure that out, I think, and they will. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, you're right about needing some kind of a bit of refreshing in the squad, whether that's a new signing or. I feel so frustrated about the makeup of the squad that we seem to have a little setback here and there out of nowhere. Pau Torres returns to training this week, but isn't featuring today at all. Jacob Ramsey's injured again. It's like, if everyone, I know you're not always going to have a fit and a ready squad. You're always going to get injuries, but these kind of ones that are just kind of eating away at us a little bit. Like, I thought Pau Torres would be back by now and starting today. I thought Jacob Ramsey would be starting to find his feet a little bit, and he's injured again. Zaniolo comes in and out for a few minutes, like you say. Duran comes on for 25 minutes, and you think, it doesn't really do enough to make me think that there's something there that will score 6-7 goals in the Premier League and win games for us. Obviously he has before with the Crystal Palace one, but it's an isolated incident more so than a trend. Just on the kind of makeup of the squad, when you see the team come out today and you think no Torres, no Ramsey again, we do look a little bit, and this is a harsh word because it's not fair really, but I can't think of anything better right now, a bit stale, a bit kind of obvious what we're trying to do. There isn't a wild card in there to change things up a little bit.
Great. I'm delighted you said that, because in the team sheet tantrum, God, I feel like all I'm doing here is just talking
Oh,
about
plug away,
podcasts I
mate. You're
do,
doing me
but
a
it is,
favour here.
it's, this is just, I might as well be wearing a big billboard here on my jumper. It's not bad enough that I
I
have
mean, there
pressed here
is a
beside me.
huge logo behind you in neon lights. Yeah.
But what I like, you're dead right. And I likened, like we named, what was it, 8 subs today.
Yeah.
We named 2 goalkeepers today. I'm okay with that. Don't get me wrong. I was a bit grumpy for the team sheet tantrum, and I've calmed down since. But I think what it is like, I don't see what's to be lost by not naming a young guy on the bench there. Like Man City brought on Oscar Bob yesterday. He scores the winning goal. They could have brought on Jack Grealish, and Newcastle would have gone, right, we know Jack Grealish's strengths inside and out. Oscar Bob, there's no way in the wide earthly world they could have known for 100% what he was capable of. Yes, he's got a lot on tape from being out on loan and so on and so forth, and played with Norway. And he's a known quantity, but he's not as known as Jack Grealish. So when you talk about staleness and you talk about maybe freshening it up, I don't know who that kid is. I don't know who'd be trusted, who'd be ready for the Premier League at that level. But when you look at the substitutes we had there, Tim wasn't getting a game. Not in a month, not in a year of Sundays was Tim getting a game today. You 2 goalkeepers on the bench today, both of them under 21. So realistically, when we had 5 players on the bench today, it was back to the good old days of 5 subs, and we knew what each of those can contribute. Now, Unai Emery is a man of structure, and that's probably why we've recalled Kane, Hayden, Kessler, who I would imagine will be in match squad soon. But I think the biggest thing for me is that, maybe what was to be like Caden Young has gone off the radar completely altogether after featuring in some preseason stuff and at times last season. But maybe what's to be lost by not having a Teddy Rowe, or by not having somebody that I'm just firing out names. Like, it's so hard to know who hasn't been sent out on loan even now in this month. But what's not to be lost by bringing on somebody, or having somebody on the bench like that maybe gives the other opposition to think and go, what happens if they do spring him? We're not 100% sure what this guy's going to be able to offer. It's a moot point. If you can only make 5 subs and you have 5 people on the bench that you're comfortable with bringing on, maybe that's all you need. But if we'd won today 2-0, I wouldn't even be having this conversation with you about that. But it is a conversation when we don't win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel harsh. Villa are 3rd in the league. I feel very harsh to say that Villa have gone stale or haven't played well since Man City. Like, I've got the results in front of me. Beat Arsenal, beat Brentford, point at Sheffield United, beat Burnley, and a point today. Man United defeating there as well. Like, Villa haven't gone terrible out of nowhere, but I feel like we need like a big game and a big performance to. Again, I feel incredibly harsh saying this.
Win or something like that.
You play Newcastle after this break and you beat them 3-0. It's not probably going to happen now, but you beat them 3-0 at Villa Park and you feel very confident about it, and it's very entertaining, and we score a couple of great goals and just something to kind of re-energise everybody on the pitch and in the stands as well. Absolutely don't want to set the impression that I think Villa are playing badly or we're not good enough and we need to change this and that. Just something's missing a little bit, and I probably only feel like this now. Again, this is the post-match show. It's all very raw. We've just watched a very bitty, frustrating game, very stop-start, no real kind of end product on display at all from either side. And it all just feels a little bit meh, rather than, this is exciting, this is fresh, and maybe we need that kind of 90-minute performance to kind of put those concerns to bed a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want this to come across as if I'm disagreeing with you. I probably choose a different word to stale and made the more I think about it, because of the structure that Unai Emery likes us to play in. It's probably and I'm going to use the word predictable, but we've been predictable all season because you know what we're going to do, but we've been doing it and teams couldn't stop it.
Yes, yeah.
Now we just need a little tweak. And at times today, Everton couldn't stop it, and we got in our own way at times, and they had to have last minute blocks and stuff like that. So we executed what we needed to execute correct. Like that screwball scramble at the end in the penalty area, where it falls to McGinn, it falls to Matty Cash, Pickford stops from Matty Cash, I think, then it falls to McGinn. That's good defending. That's just really good defending, but we executed really well in that situation. So you got to tip your hat off to Everton, and that's in that area there. Like, we executed really well when Duran gets his foot in the ball there. I think the cross from Matty Cash was was fine. It was like, I think everything there was probably supposed to be the way it was supposed to go. When you see Duran's run comes from the back post in and around in between the two centre halves, love that run for somebody who's still very raw. That shows real great learning for me for a centre forward. So I think we executed, but I think, when you're so structured like that, you do need things to go absolutely 100%. And even when they're only going 98% in execution, you start to see things like that happen, like Duran's chance that was missed there, or even the little piece there, like, and I know everybody would have been offside for the VAR goal, but that's a great finish from Moreno.
Yeah,
But
we'll talk about that in a
does
sec.
Longley need to hold on to the player? Is that what he's been told to do? Is that a tactic we're using to hold players there to keep everybody on side? Maybe we don't need to do that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good to sort of tap ourselves on the shoulder. It's a good discussion. Like, stale probably is the wrong word. And I also, yeah, like I say, we've been going 15 minutes. I don't want this to come across that we're criticising Villa or that we're not grateful of where we are. I just think, things are, Pau Torres coming in will make a massive difference. Jacob Ramsey getting back to the player we know he can be will make a massive difference. And if we, for example, loan out Duran and sign a new striker, and that gives us a slightly different edge, that will change things as well. So I'm absolutely kind of on board with Unai Emery and the process and the project, or whatever word you want to call it. I'm not absolutely not a disgruntled fan or anything. It's just that frustration coming out of that game today, thinking, we're not far away from winning there, and it's a good result, or a brilliant result. But there's just something that's just missing a little bit, and that's not through anyone's fault, really. It's just that's football sometimes, I think. Let's talk about that Moreno goal, then, ruled out for offside. We can talk about this from many different angles, as VAR had many different angles to look at. One from, was it the correct decision? Were VAR right to get involved? Were they implementing the process correctly? I actually thought the way the set piece was played out, if you like, was intentional. I think Longley's role is to keep the Everton player as far back as possible so they're still on side for the short corner and to play it back. And to be honest, it almost works. I don't know who it was at half time. Was it Jamie Redknapp? He was saying, forget about it being offside. It's a foul from Longley on Danjuma, which I'm not sure I agree with, to be honest. But yeah, possibly. Maybe it is a little bit too much. I think they've both got each other, though. I think Danjuma is holding Longley from the reverse angle. So I don't think that's given us a foul, to be honest. The offside looks very tight. I think you and me spoke about it actually on a show a few weeks ago. I cannot remember the game, but from one angle of the pitch, it looked onside, and then the reverse angle, I thought it was offside. And I thought the same again today. When it came from the non-TV side angle, I actually thought Bailey was onside from that one. So very tight as it was playing out in real time. And for the, was it 3 minutes, 45 seconds or something it took?
Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm not sure they've got enough kind of conclusive evidence here to rule it out either one way or the other. So maybe we're going to get away with it. Then they start looking at whether Longley is offside in the eye line of Pickford afterwards. Yet they'd already decided that Bailey was offside before that. So why they spent another minute or so, or 2 minutes, looking at whether Longley was in the eye line was crazy. Because if you've already given Bailey as offside, the next part of the move is relevant anyway, because the goal is. So it felt very strange in terms of the overall process.
Unless
so what did you
maybe
make of it?
they were looking at, my thought in that was, maybe they were looking, was Longley offside? Because then they looked at the Longley Danjuma tussle and see, was Danjuma actually trying to pull Longley down? Is this a penalty?
Maybe.
And then, can you have a penalty if the player was in an offside position previous to the tussle? It's just like it. But once again, the Pandora's box was open at that stage, as you say. But for me, I'm going to say, or look, they were offside when they drew the lines. They're offside. I can take that. I don't like. My big thing about this and about VAR is, my co-host Paddy was at the game today. I can guarantee you, Paddy has no idea why that was ruled off, why that goal was chalked out. The simple thing we need to do here is, and it's so simple, and it's like it's so elitist that they don't just bow to the public's wishes in this one, in a way, and it just annoys me so much that they're just so reticent to change with regards to this. Mic up the refs. You've seen it in rugby. It doesn't cause riots in the stand. It doesn't cause riots on the pitch. If anything, it calms everything down. The ref will get it right more times than not. But what will happen is people will understand what the process was. There's no point in sanitizing this stuff in 2 weeks later and having Howard Webb stand there with Jamie Redknapp and everybody there ready to hand him Kleenex in case he tries any crocodile tears, regards to poorly made decisions. What it is if I, like, if I could hear the process there, if the goal goes in, the ref goes, yeah, guys, listen, I'm not 100% sure there. Our linesman goes, lads, think there might be offside there. Can we check the offside? And it says to the ref, you can hear that. And the ref goes, okay, VAR, want a decision on this? Can I award the goal? Is there an offside or not within the build-up? That's fine, and get him to talk for that to talk on that point. And if it is proven to be offside, or if it is proven in that instance that Clement Longley was offside and then was pulled down for a penalty, and you can't give the penalty for whatever reason, that the VAR person who's got everything in front of them, I'm getting a bit hot under the collar now, but get everything in front of them, should be able to pull up the rule book and read exactly what the law is of the game that they are referring to when they're making the decision. And therefore, everyone to hear, it would take the same amount of time. You've got assistant VARs that it doesn't take 3 people standing around a pothole to fill in the pothole. Like, it takes one man with the shovel. That's the way it is. And with VAR, there's 3 people standing around a pothole trying to fill it in. There should be someone ringing back to the base and saying, yeah, we're filling in this pothole. Don't send another team here. There should be another person then going, yeah, it's costing us 10 quid to fill in this pothole because of the stuff we're putting in there. Well, what's happening here is all 3 of them are looking into the hole. One person should be pulling up the laws as the other people are having conversations, and it should be clearly communicated from one end to the other. And hey, Premier League, hey. Make money off it. Sell the bloody ref things that people can wear them and hear them, and make your 20 quid back on that if you want. But the worst thing that you can do at the moment is, I can guarantee you, I've got a text from Paddy saying he had no idea why the goal was ruled out in the stadium, and they've paid money to go to the game, and they're coming out of there scratching their head, and it's just bonkers. It just makes no sense. I'm going to be quiet now because, as I say, I want you to keep your job. I like you, Dad. I want you. I don't want you to be responsible for me blowing up altogether.
No, I mean, I will do my own my own best to try and keep my job here by saying things in a non-controversial way as best as I can. I don't want to be implied as how do I phrase this properly? If we were doing this edited now, I'd be very careful about what I was going to say and pick and choose which bits I want to keep in. But I don't have that luxury live. I don't want to be associated with any kind of what's the phrase here? Like implying that there's any corruption at any level in the Premier League. But if I had to put a conspiracy theorist hat on for a second, Neil, and kind of go devil's advocate back at your point there, why don't the Premier League and PGMOL and Howard Webb and whoever else involved in this process, why don't they want transparency? Why can't they implement the things you just said there? Why can't we hear this audio? Never mind 2 weeks after. Why can't I hear it now, even at full time? It's out there already. The commentators hear back from VAR on Sky and BT and whatever else. They're listening back to it. They see things. They say now about that we don't draw the lines on anymore, but the people behind the scenes still see the lines. Why don't they want this level of transparency out to the wider public? And again, I don't want to be throwing accusations that the Premier League is corrupt and whatever else. I'm not suggesting that at all. But why not just say
improvements?
Yeah, why not just say this is the process? This is what we're going to do. We'll take you along every step of the way. Because they've got to this point now, and you're right. They're kind of too proud to admit defeat and make changes. Is how it feels. They made a rod for their own back with this kind of clear and obvious tagline. Because if something takes 4 minutes to work out, to me that's not clear or obvious. It's not a clear or obvious mistake in the first place. So should VAR even be getting involved because it's not clearly wrong? It's a minefield now, to go back to potholes. There's just holes in the whole thing, and I'm not sure what the problem is or what the fix is, but being openly transparent about this is the process and this is what we do as it happens, rather than 2 or 3 weeks later on a YouTube video with Howard Webb, it seems like a pretty easy fix to me.
And you're right. And look, it's Howard Webb would be a hero in the morning if he brought it in. Like, why isn't he allowed to be a hero? What's stopping him from being a hero? That's the question everybody wants to ask. And once again, we're not alluding to any secret cabal or being conspiracy theory or anything. It's just like if they came out and said, listen, lads, it's as simple as this. We can't broadcast it because of X, Y, and Z. Because we want to protect the referees. We want to protect the referee in game. If we broadcast it and something happens to a referee directly after a game, well, then, we're liable for that. Grant, I'd accept that. I'd absolutely accept that. Or if we broadcast this, the referee gets it wrong and some fella runs out of the stands and does your man on Jack Grealish and pucks a ref or something like that. Or like in Turkey, like a fella comes down, the owner comes onto the field and assaults a referee, we're liable for that. That's fine. I'd actually understand it. It's the silence. It's the fact that everybody's making suggestions to improve it. And they're like, no, you know what? We're actually fine. We're grand. There isn't a problem here. And everyone's going, there is a problem.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
part of the problem, isn't it? This kind of being too proud to make a change, to make decisions, and be different with what they're doing. Because at the moment, what is happening isn't really working, and this isn't an attack on VAR, the
No,
entity, the idea of technology in football. I actually think there is a place for it. The rules that they use are
absolutely.
not applied in the right way, or are outdated for this technology they've got. That you've got to have some kind of parameters for offside. Is this off? Whatever is that. So we can say, right, well, the rules say that we have to implement it in this way. What is handball? Is it the t-shirt line? And all this nonsense has got to be so much more clear and obvious would help. And the people using it, the referees on the pitch and the referees in Stockley Park, are not fit for standard. For the millionth time, we've discussed this for the last 3 or 4 years that this podcast has existed. The standard of officiating at the top level of English football, which is a multi-billion-pound business, is not fit for purpose. That's not
Mm,
VAR as a product, as a piece of technology. It's the clowns using it is the problem. And until that is all wiped out and started afresh and given a proper kind of rule book of this is how everything works, this is how we're going to be transparent about it, this current iteration of VAR doesn't work and has to be changed.
mm.
Whether the people at the top do that, I've got no idea. So I'm
Yeah,
not,
and
I'm not throwing accusations of corruption or anything. But you look at some of the
no.
decisions you get as a lesser club. Is that goal ruled out if you're Liverpool or Man
Well, it
City?
wasn't like the Jacob Ram or the goal that we scored against the Jacob Ramsey one, the one where Jacob Ramsey fouled the goalkeeper. Apparently,
Yeah, Man United.
like that was ruled a goal last night for something similar for Luton. So
Mm,
it's like
yes, of course.
I
Yeah.
I think I think the application of top six versus non top six. I think there was merit to that some years ago, but now I just think that it's just confusion across the board. And it depends on who you
Mm,
get. It's for the subjective nature of a referee making a decision in real time has just been shifted to the subjective nature of a person making the decision with a TV
yeah.
screen in front of them. The issue still is the subjective decision, and where I think everybody would admit that if there was a situation, you said clear and obvious. They said, listen, there is benefit of the doubt that the referee could not have seen this in any way, shape, or form, or could not have known. So therefore, it wasn't obvious. Therefore, the goal is allowed to stand. There was nothing
Mm,
egregious here, so the goal is allowed to stand. We'd still be giving out about it, but I think that a lot of fans would be happier with these with judgment calls. Now, should this goal have been ruled out? I think it should have been ruled out. This is just commentary on VAR overall. I
yeah.
think, and we spend like footballing podcasts, footballing pundits, footballing phone-in shows, footballing fans in the pub spend way too much time talking about VAR than they should, and it's become it's become the elephant in the room, and it shouldn't be. It should be there to help, not hinder. It should be there to confirm, not to cause controversy, and it's not doing either at the moment,
Yeah.
really. You know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
like I say, we've been doing this podcast for I think 4 years or 5 years this year, and I think I remember when we first started it and thinking, well, VAR's coming in. Well, either it was already in when Villa got promoted, or it was coming back in, or whatever. I can't remember. It's like, oh well, this will
mm,
stop us talking about referee decisions anymore because they'll get things right all the time. And like you say,
yeah,
it's become, for us, for other podcasts, for pundits, whatever it is. We do a post-match show for Everton, and was Moreno right to be ruled out? Yes or no? And you have 20 minutes of chat about VAR off the back of it, which is not how it should go, really. But like we said at the beginning, a pretty quiet game in terms of the result. Obviously, not many people are that interested when you see Everton 0, Villa 0. But overall, to kind of round out, Humscotty Paddy then, Neil, it's probably the rant about referees that did that. Um, um, I thought we were okay. 1 point's fine. We're on the
yeah,
road. A point on the road is okay. A clean sheet. We made chances, and on another day, given a slightly more clinical Ollie Watkins or Musa Diaby or whoever, we win today and we're fine. And we probably don't have a 20-minute chat about VAR because we think, oh, it was ruled out, but it doesn't really matter because we won anyway. On to Newcastle. Come on, lads. There we go. Incidentally, Man United have beaten Tottenham 2-1 at half time, which is obviously good for Villa. So I think it's just one of those that you chalk down to. Could have been better. Could have been a lot worse. I'm pretty okay with the point. Let's all move on together. I think that's my
yeah.
overarching feeling tonight.
Mine too. Look, as I say, it's yeah. The point is the point. The point that we got from the 1-1 draw is the point today, and it should be the point.
You're on
Like, there's
mute.
no way I could
I
say
know
with
you're
my
not.
hand on my heart and say, "Geez, no way we shouldn't have won that game." But I do think we were the better team in that game.
Mm.
I do think we were the team that, but then as I said, it was the mismatch of styles that probably made me feel that we were the better team because we had more possession, we had as many clear-cut chances and so on. But Everton aren't going to be that team. A Sean Dyche team is not going to be that team that's going to own the ball and have that possession. So you probably always feel like you were the better team against them. But when I go back to my piece again, we executed 99% of the stuff we wanted to do, and we did it pretty well today. It wasn't that sloppy a performance. Everton executed their defensive stuff brilliantly as well. And you kind of have to give credit in that instance where you've got a counter puncher versus a puncher. Sometimes they turn out to be bad fights. And maybe we could put this one down. When I say bad fights, I mean like for the goal tally. Maybe you could just put that one down to this as well. I think the players were both frustrated about the mismatch of styles, because Everton didn't like the fact that we were going back to the goalkeeper and owning the ball, and they were pressing high, and they were obviously, like if that game was 10 minutes longer, I think Villa probably would have won just because of how much energy maybe we had saved from owning the ball as much as we did at times. But look, Everton defended really well, and it's up to us to break them down, and they should be really proud of the way they played today. Like with 31% possession, they had, and I'm going to use an awful phrase, the phrase I probably hate the most in football, but they had a bigger expected goals number than us today, probably down to the Calvert-Lewin chance. But Villa were the better team, I think, for me today. But I don't think that we have any God-given right to say we should have won that game today, because Everton performed their task superbly too. So
Yeah.
hey, stalemate, and that's the way they go sometimes.
Yeah, spot on. That's exactly how I feel about it as well. Some people will feel differently and feel that Villa weren't good enough and whatever else, and that's absolutely fine. I think we could all do with this 2-week break now till the next game. Newcastle, is it Newcastle next or Chelsea first?
Newcastle, yeah, and a Tuesday.
Newcastle on the Tuesday, yeah, that's right. Newcastle Tuesday, Chelsea Friday. Yeah, so that'll be a busy week, but a couple of weeks to go until that. Maybe Pau Torres is back by then. Maybe Ramsey's back by then. Maybe we've signed somebody by then. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a little bit more fresh looking by those next 2 weeks. I will say something very quickly about the Claret Blue podcast. Neil, as I've done over the last few episodes, I'm going to let you do the actual outro. Despite it being a 2-week break for Villa, there'll still be Claret Blue content over the next couple of weeks. Me and Matt Kendrick are heading into the office tomorrow to film something together in person. That'll be tomorrow's Monday show, but it might not come out till Monday evening because obviously we're filming in person. It takes a lot more time. I've got to actually edit the thing and get it out there. But despite there being, Chelsea first on the Friday, everybody says. So it's not the Tuesday, then the Friday. It's the Friday, the weekend, then the Tuesday. So cup game first, and then a league game. So yeah, a little bit of time for us to look at the fixture list correctly and see where we are. But like I say, yeah, plenty of Claret Blue content still coming out. We'll still react to any signings if they make any. We'll still do the Monday show each Monday and whatnot. And filming something to do with VR on Wednesday, which will be a good crack as well. So stay tuned to Claret Blue for that. Neil, do you want to do the official outro for me, and I'll press the buttons?
What is the official outro?
Just like, thanks for watching and that kind of thing.
Thanks a million for watching, and it's fantastic, and thanks for nobody bringing up the fact that I've got, and Dan will attest to this, that I've got all baby slobber all over me as well. Trying to hold on to an energetic 8-month-old while trying to watch the game, and things aren't going your way leads to both of us, I think, at times we're spewing all over the place. So thanks a million, Dan, for having me on, and thanks everybody for watching. And listen, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Cheers, lads.